the Young Turks mentors.
Our next speaker topped the civil services examination in 1994. He's one of the people who pioneered e-governance in India. He created Asia's largest IT and investment cluster, Hyderabad, as part of a team. He's also the first serving IAS officer to have completed his MBA from the Harvard Business School. And recently, I think 2 years back, he had a film, Bollywood film that was made that was based on some of his exploits as a bureaucrat. It is with great pleasure that we invite Srivatsa Krishna, Secretary of IT, Government of Karnataka, to address us now.
Hi. You know that 5:27 p.m. when I was entering the hotel, Shireen Bhan sends me an SMS. I thought it's an interview of comfort. So 5:27, here's the SMS, which said, "Sir, it's a TED-style talk. It's not an interview." And that's what government's all about. You never know what's coming next. You never know where it's come from. You know why. You never know why it came. And you never, ever, ever get to know what are the true forces behind what's happening. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you why the road to digital India begins from Bangalore and not from Delhi. So media being media, and Shireen being no exception to it, yesterday started the interview by asking me a question, which was, why is Bangalore losing out to Hyderabad? I was very puzzled at the question. That's like comparing Shireen Bhan and CNBC TV 18 to Mana TV or Z Business or something. Or Harvard Business School, as Naveen would agree, with Walla Walla Community College in Washington. So let me first start with data. Data says the following. By 2020, India's exports from IT would be 200 billion, give or take something. This city alone, will do 40% of those exports. $80 billion from one city of India, namely Bangalore. And which will also be the single largest collection of IT professionals anywhere on the planet, with 2 million IT professionals in Bangalore by 2020. We are today the second largest after Silicon Valley, which makes us not just the IT capital of India, not just the IT capital of Asia, but I would say the IT capital of the world after Silicon Valley. And this is because of all of you. It's because of all of you, and I'd like to reiterate, the belief in government is, if the cow next door doesn't give milk, or if InMobi staffer gets arrested somewhere, as it happened recently, government is to blame. There must be some babu doing something wrong. But it's not always the case. The fact is, despite what my good friend Azim Premji likes to say in the media, when the cameras are on, he says something else when the cameras are off. IT grew in India, in Hyderabad and Bangalore, because of government. It did not grow because there was no government. It grew because of proactive government support at every step of the way. And there are numerous examples of this which I can talk about. And I'm here to talk about startups, why we are not yet the startup capital of the world. We are one of the startup hubs of the world. We are not the startup capital. We are not the innovation capital. But we are getting there. And we are getting there because we have this 30-year legacy of IT services backing us on the platform which they have given us is what is enabling all of you to grow. Think of it. If you had started with no platform of the Infosys and TCSs backing you, you wouldn't be going where it is. For example, Ashish. I think Ashish's company, I don't know what you're valued at, but you should be valued at $100 billion because you started by saying, I convinced my wife. That is not something any of us do. If you convince your wife, which any husband in this room would agree with, you're worth 100, isko khareed le. Ye samne baitha Naveen Tewari. Buy the bloody company over. So companies like Ashish and Naveen, which we're very, very proud of, happened on the platform of growth built by the IT giants. They hire from them, the ecosystem was developed by them, and I dare say, when you again compare Hyderabad and Bangalore, and having been there, done that in both places, I think you cannot replicate Bangalore's ecosystem anywhere. Which is why companies like Ashish and Naveen's InMobi shifted out from Delhi, if I remember right, and Bombay to Bangalore. Which is why every week we get a visitor. Yesterday I had a company visiting me called Mock Jobs. Imagine what he does. Can you take a guess? Mock Jobs prepares people for a career in government. I told him, yaar, yahan sab government chhod ke jahana ja rahe hain aur tum government mein aa rahe ho? And he said this is one of the largest markets in the country, and he is preparing Konark Singhal, an ex-Bain alumni. is preparing people for a career in government. And he is moving lock, stock and barrel from, what is that other place you talk about? Gurgaon. That place in Haryana. He's moving out of there to the startup capital of India, Bangalore. Let me give you another data point. 3/4 of India's VCs, not all of them are doing well, but 3/4 of India's registered VCs are based in one city. Which one? Bangalore, not Bombay. Bombay is PE, not VCs. Okay, let me tell you about what government is planning to do and a couple of initiatives which would be of value to startups, which you can look forward to. First and foremost, Government of Karnataka pioneered the idea of setting up the startup warehouse, along with NASSCOM and Ravi Gururaj, who after making his millions, which he doesn't like talking about, many millions, which I can talk to you about privately, decided to help us in setting up the startup warehouse. He's today a synonym for startups in the country, not just in Bangalore. And I think the startup warehouse has been a super duper box office hit. You talk of the 100 crore club and the Bajrangi Bhaijan and the 200 crore club. He is beyond the Bajrangi Bhaijans of the startup industry. And I think today NASSCOM Startup Warehouse is the true Bahubali. It's the true Bahubali of India's startup world. So let me give you another news. We are now expanding 5x at one go. We set up 10,000 square feet 1.5 years ago, which is all completely sold out, huge queue to get in. And now what are we doing? We are now setting up, which is almost ready. We have to launch by 15th of August with the Honorable Chief Minister and the NASSCOM Executive Council coming down to Bangalore. 50,000 square feet. 50,000 square feet of high-end startup space available for young startups who want to come. We have already companies like Practo and others who are there. And many companies who've been there, done that. Practo wasn't there. I think Practo came on mobile one. Okay. Many companies who have been there, done that. And we welcome more startups to come and inhabit the startup warehouse. Cities like Hyderabad copied us. Cut, paste, copy. And have replicated the startup warehouse everywhere from Bihar to Telangana to Tamil Nadu. Which is, I think, the greatest ever applause the state government can get when something we did has been copied and taken up by other governments. We also have in this India's first IoT lab in partnership with two major MNCs, which we are just waiting for the final sign-offs and we'll be announcing it shortly. We also have in partnership with IAMAI, India's first mobile apps incubator. So any of you who want to get into the mobile app space, this has the first mobile apps incubator, which will be located inside the startup warehouse. Okay, what else are we doing? How many of you have seen Skyfall, James Bond? Life of Pi, the storm scene which won the visual effects Oscars. And Godzilla. Where was the home Skyfall made? Last scene. Where was it supposed to be? Skyfall, the house, it was called Skyfall. Where was it created? Any of you remember? It was supposed to be in Scotland. It traces back his roots to Scotland, which is where he grew up. Where was it actually created? Whitefield, Bangalore, by one of the companies and studios we partner with, motion picture company. Likewise, Godzilla was created by Technicolor, which subsequently acquired them. And forthcoming two movies, Batman versus Superman. Any of you heard of that? Spectre, November 6th, 2015, the next James Bond, 24th one. And the next edition of The Jungle Book. Disney's blockbuster coming out in a rehash after 10 years. All being made by talent like you in Bangalore. That's why Bangalore is the IT hub of the world, Shireen. So what is the government doing? So government is setting up the first ever digital media and entertainment city. My colleague Tanushree will talk about it in her talk. The digital media and entertainment city, the movie industry is very funny. When I got involved with Shanghai, the movie that you referred to, which was made on my life, I understood one thing, that none of them are permanent employees of any production house, except for a few. Most of them come together for temporary projects and go away. So what does the government create? We are creating the highest end possible rendering farms, servers, and the state-of-the-art equipment, which people can come lease for a day, lease for an hour, lease for a month, make their movies and go away. We are in dialogue with some of the topmost studios in the world for coming into this facility and be anchor tenants there so that the locus of Bollywood, if you see the balance sheet of most of the Hollywood companies, the second largest line item after the actors' salaries is VFX and special effects. And Bangalore is all set in the next couple of years to come up with India's first and hopefully one of the world's best digital media and entertainment cities, which will disrupt Bollywood. And just as government helped set up Electronic City, we are setting up the digital media and entertainment city for this. ITIR, I don't know how many of you have heard of ITIR. Government of India sanctioned 2 ITIRs. The first was to Bangalore, which is a satellite township for the city. This is coming up in North Bangalore, beyond the airport. Now, there are always complaints about traffic and, South Bangalore being congested. ITIR is a 10,000-acre facility coming up over the next 10 to 15 years. We have finished acquiring much of the first 2,000 acres, and that's where we hope the locus of Bangalore's IT industry will move to. And that will become the new hub, hopefully, for startups as well. Yesterday Shireen asked me why Uber didn't come to us. Uber has come to us with a proposal for investing several $1 million and creating a lot of jobs, something I was unaware of yesterday. They came again today. It's called the Shireen effect. They showed up suddenly this morning in my minister's office, and I got a call saying, Uber is here. Would you like to meet them? And we have a very, very proactive minister, someone who is very supportive of IT. So he sent Uber's executives to see us, who we met at noon today. And Uber has given us a proposal for investing in Karnataka and creating what will hopefully be a very large software development center along with a lot of jobs. So the answer to your question, that's how fast government moves. Shireen asks and we answer. You asked yesterday and here's your answer today. E-governance. Let me talk a little bit about e-governance, and this is where I want you guys to come in and help us. This is where we have companies like Practo helping us. Karnataka Mobil 1 has been certified since its launch as the single largest mobile governance platform in the world. We have 4,000 services at launch, which include G2C, B2C, G2E, and G2G services. So why is it a platform and not a Sarkari system? If it's a Sarkari system, some babu like me will run it and screw it up. So we didn't want a Sarkari system. We wanted it to be a platform on which young companies, such as many in this room, can come forward. And I'm happy to report that in 6 months of its launch, with zero being spent on advertising, we have no budget for advertising till now, we are doing 1 lakh hits and downloads a day, which for a government app, I think is pretty significant. Now we've been contacted by Google, we've been contacted by various other companies, if we can share the platform for advertising. And that's something we are looking at very actively. In government, always involving the private sector in the right way. Involving the private sector in the right way is not very easy to pull off. So we are now working on something wherein we can bring in Google and others who can help us monetize the platform and use the ad revenue so created to give Mobile One a life of its own. By the way, it's the only mobile app in the country where you can pay your income tax on the phone. And income tax is a Government of India service, whereas you can pay it sitting here in Bangalore. That's why the road to digital India begins from Bangalore and not from Delhi, as I often like saying. So that is one of the initiatives which we are doing, and I'll be delighted if startups sitting here would like to come on board. My challenge, which I haven't been able to find a solution for so far, is how to tap into the energy, the ideas, and the power of all of you to help us with solving the most difficult public social problems. That often becomes difficult simply because our procurement rules are such. It requires you to have a certain number of experience, certain amount of financial worth, your balance sheet should have some muscle in it, without which you cannot bid for large government projects. I'll give you one example. We run what is considered to be India's largest e-procurement platform. We do $15 billion, with a B, worth of business every single year. Now, I want to find out ways in which I can engage with young startups who can help us solve the procurement problem, even in a better way than what we are doing now. We're just bringing it on the mobile. We're going to be the first state to do government procurement on the mobile phone, and with end-to-end contract management and catalog management. In Mobile One, we have interesting apps wherein, with the touch of a button, you can take a picture of a street light not working, it gets geotagged, and it goes to the respective assistant engineers, junior engineers, and when they act on it, if they act on it, I can't yet arm twist them to act on it. But if they act on it, the geotags will be compared to make sure that they're actually fixed the right light and not fudging the data. So I want to find ways by which I can get young startups like you to get involved in solving intractable social problems, which I think is one of the biggest challenges faced by society today. We recently, you would have read in the media, we attracted $500 million of investment from Exxon Mobil, which is setting up its business support center in Bangalore. And soon we'll be coming back to you with another Fortune 1, 2, 3, 4 company, which will have the single largest tech FDI ever in India's history coming into Bangalore. So I think I've spoken enough. I want to leave you with just one thought, which is to convey the fact to you that this government, and any government in Karnataka of any political complexion, which is why, by the way, we need Babus and the IAS, irrespective of the political party in power, IT and biotechnology and science and technology are a synonym for Bangalore. And Bangalore is a synonym for them. Don't forget, in President Obama's speech we figured, and at that time, when he was running for candidature, he spoke about getting Bangalore, right? And now that he's come into office, he's supporting offshoring. It's not a bad thing to do, which shows there's some IAS officers there too, who make him change his mind once he shifts over from campaign into actual office. So what I want to end by saying is to tell you that we are, any government, irrespective of political complexion, irrespective of who runs it, the matter is one of priority, but IT and BT are the toast of this city. They will continue to remain the toast of this city. Bangalore continues to be the pride of India as the IT capital and will continue to be the pride of India, irrespective of what media or anybody else say. So I want to end by thanking all of you for making Bangalore the toast of India. It's your energy, your power, which we channelize through government and make India proud and make Bangalore the place from where, as what did Amitabh Bachchan say in, what was Kalia? Line wahan se shuru hoti hai jahan hum khada hote hain. So digital India begins from Bangalore. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
If I can ask you to just hang on for 2 seconds on stage.
My God, you said no questions. This is what media does to us. Okay. Yes.
One question.
Yes. You told Ashish also when you asked him to.
Okay. Sorry. I'm not consistent like Ashish. Let me ask you, because you're talking about the power of disruption, we're talking about the power of entrepreneurship. How hard is it to be a disruptive babu in the government of India?
Government of India? I'm not in Government of India.
In the
How hard is it to be what babu?
A disruptive babu.
Whatever made you think I was disruptive? And did you not read the front page of Times of India yesterday? How many of you read the front page of Times of India yesterday? Nobody reads Times of India. That's very sad, yeah. Huh? Internet may be Times of India, hai bhai. You can read it on the mobile as well.
Is that what happens with disruptive thinking in government?
No. I think it's easy to call it a disruptive thing. It's not at all. I think there are many proactive civil servants who do a very good day's work, a very tough day's work, in circumstances in which most of you won't want to work. There are many IAS officers who are corrupt, who steal, who do all kinds of stuff, and they should be hanged. No doubt about that. Number them, hang them at India Gate. But don't tar everyone with the same brush. There are many. You go to a place called Gandanjera. Do you know where Gandanjera is? No. Gandanjera is the last outpost in the border of Tripura with Burma. She's from Tripura, she would know. 200 miles, there's nobody. It's just forest. Batchmate of mine, Anil Garg, IIT topper, IIM Ahmedabad ice scholar, went and served there for 2 years. If today Gandanjera is a part of India, you owe a little bit to him too, and many others who went. So I think there are many who do a very good work in the IAS, away from the media, away from the limelight, because they're terrified of you. We're terrified of you, simply because media wants stories which says what? Which says man bites dog. You'll never go for a story which says, my friend Arnab, the nation wants to know, why did Shireen Ban have lunch with Srivatsa Krishna today? That is why he must be on her show this evening. Any more? Second question.
My second question is, in your experience with the bureaucracy, how do we actually get the bureaucracy to be more relevant with changing times? And I ask you this because you're seeing regulatory issues now. For instance, who should regulate Uber? Right? I mean, innovation is far ahead of regulation. So as bureaucracy tries to keep pace with innovation, what is it that we should look for within the government, and how should the government really be addressing this issue of keeping regulation in step or in pace with innovation?
End of the day, the takeaway, as they say at HBS, is the takeaway is never take on a journalist, and certainly not a woman journalist. She has to bowl a googly at the end. So who regulates Uber in San Francisco or in the US? I think the fact remains that if government becomes as nimble as the private sector, as a startup, it wouldn't remain government. There is a reason why government works the way it works. It's not without reason. And there's a reason why you and I and every one of us in this room vote for them. Right? So the answer is innovation will always be ahead. Yeah? If innovation comes into government, then government will become a startup which you don't want. There are many benefits to government being the way it is now. So I don't have an answer to who will regulate Uber. I certainly don't think Arvind Kejriwal is doing the right thing when he demanded that the app should be turned off and the telecom department was written to turn off the app. That's not the way to deal with it. And I think Karnataka, for one, has taken a very mature approach about it. And none of these apps are banned here. And I think they're doing very, very well. And I think regulation will catch up. But around the world, be it any government, look, I worked with several governments around the world, including China and the US. Regulation and government bureaucracy always is a step behind, and for good reason. It will catch up and it will come up with regulation, hopefully with smart regulation. Yes, Naveen.
Hi. So I actually had a comment, and obviously would probably love your reflection on it. One of the things that we struggled with at the company. A lot of our people, very, very smart, very well paid. They work really hard, and they always are looking for avenues to essentially do something, for the betterment of the country, for the betterment of the city, and that's just in the DNA of what these kind of people are, and they find it hard to figure out these avenues. One of the experiments we just started off about a few months ago is to partner with the police, Bangalore police, and with Mr. M. Reddy, and try and essentially say, how can we make a secure Bangalore? How can we make the Bangalore's traffic better? Because there are technologies that can actually solve for that. Now, as a private company, I cannot put my own resources by spending money on it because that doesn't align with what I want to do as a company. But if one were to essentially think of this as saying, hey, there are a lot of people who are willing to devote their time, which is off hours of the work, they can actually do a lot more value creation there than any amount of capital can actually bring in. Mm-hmm. We have found amazing amount of ideas and thoughts that have actually hit us, that the teams are actually working on their part-time and actually making it happen, where I think there are 10 things that people within InMobi are actually working on to make that happen. How do you do security better, and how do you do traffic better, and there are a bunch of these ideas, some of them you actually even talked about. The question and comment is more, the story was more to say, hey, I hope that there are ways to extend this, not just for us, but the whole level of talent that sits across Bangalore, which is amazing, which is very, very mature, by the way, in the way they want to do this. Probably a method in which these things can be far more open for companies to pick up and then go ahead and do that. I don't have I haven't figured out exactly how to do this, but the experiment has made people a lot more happier. I'm sure it makes the government and some of these systems a lot more better, but I thought I'll share the thought with you and probably have a reaction on it.
This is the difference between a Harvard Business School MBA who's valued at $5 billion and a Harvard Business School MBA who's probably valued not more than 5 lakh rupees. He asked the question, I'm giving the answer. The answer is this: Tanu, send me the file tomorrow, which I processed yesterday and approved, for putting 3 people from the private sector on the Startup Warehouse Committee for selecting startups, and let's add Naveen Tewari to it. Answer number 1, Naveen will be on the board to select startups. One small way of engaging his prodigious talent in the Startup Warehouse and making it better. Are you on? Yeah? So we do it tomorrow. Tomorrow, before I leave this job, I will sign off on that file.
Where are you headed?
God knows. You think I know where I go? You never ever in life, you learn very early in life, you never predict wives and government. These are two things which happen at their own,
they always stay with you,
logic.
They always stay with you.
They always stay with you and you always can never figure out what happens. Anything you try to figure out and do, वहाँ से कोई और angle आएगा.
Except Ashish, huh?
Ashish, $100 billion company hai, that's one. Second way of doing it, which I'll be happy to. Karnataka is the only state, I'm glad you asked this, because we're the only state which has 3 vision groups. Vision group on IT, which Chris Narayan Murthy was chairing it till recently. Now Chris Gopalakrishnan chairs it. Vision Group on Biotechnology, which is chaired by Kiran Majumdar Shah. And Vision Group on Science and Technology, which is chaired by CNR Rao. The three presiding deities of Bangalore and three presiding deities of India. And what is unique about it is, they are very, very proactive groups. They actually help us formulate policy, help us do things better. To give one example, we have set up what is considered by many to be India's best bioscience incubator. It's ready from February. We're waiting to officially launch it. People from foreign countries who do extraordinary research work, who visited it, tell us it's better than what they have seen even abroad. And that became possible because of private involvement from the Vision Group, where all of them gave their time, many of them gave ideas, some of them even put in their money to make that happen. So I think, unlike other governments, we are one of the state governments where these Vision Groups are very active. They proactively work with us and get us back feedback. If we are doing something wrong, they tell us we're doing this wrong. And if we are doing something right, they encourage it, make us change course if required. So we'd be more and more happy. My challenge now in e-governance is to bring in startups to solve those problems which I find difficulties with engaging. I don't find difficulty engaging, I find difficulties in getting the large companies to solve them. Frankly, whatever you hear in the media from Mr. Narayan Murthy, Infosys has done a terrible job in our best contract, billing. They've done a terrible job. And I'm saying this on record. So we need someone to correct it. We need someone to come with maybe a mobile solution, maybe something else which will happen. I have great respect for Mr. Murthy, one of my mentors. But there is another side to the story which you don't hear about. And I think it's important to know that not always. Infosys has done extraordinary work, TCS has powered the F1 software and all that. But not always do they succeed in government. To make them succeed in government, maybe they won't. But we need younger, sharper, brighter, better minds such as yourself who can make that happen.
On behalf of everyone here, sir, let me just say thank you so much for the outstanding job that you've done, not just here today, but as the IT Secretary in the Government of Karnataka. Thank you very much for everything that you've done, and we hope that you will continue the great work that you've done in your portfolio managing e-governance. Appreciate your time, sir. Thank you very much.
The Young Turks Mentors.